Hey, it's Central Valley Business. I'm your host, Steve Walling. My guests for this segment are Sharon and Juliet, and you are with, I want to get this right, get it really right. It's Vintage Me. Now, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about them. That's Vintage Me. That is antiques and collectibles. Again, we're not talking about me. I might be an antique. I might definitely be collectible, but they got some great stuff, great business. I'm happy to have them on the show. Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
Juliet,
us.
welcome being here. And, besides the fact that you're sitting next to an antique, I am kind of vintage, but tell me about your business.
Vintage Me is a business out here in Tower District, and we have...
Right here in Tower?
Yes.
So I can walk to it from here. Well, if I get my cane, I can walk to it from here. That's great. And you handle antiques and collectibles.
Yes.
And you got a bunch of vendors inside one location.
Yes.
3 or 4, right?
Yes.
No, how many?
23.
23, no kidding. Which means if I have the opportunity, and I will, to walk through your front door, I'm going to have a great inventory of all sorts of stuff, because if I remember right, people that get into the not all, but some people that get into the antique business, they kind of tend to specialize in certain eras or certain kinds, types. You know, I've heard rumor that your husband actually, he does like games and what else?
And vintage toys.
Vintage toys.
80s.
That's a man's thing for the the room, the man's room, where we can go in and do our stuff, right? And I have my vintage toy, and he's got that stuff, right?
Yes.
But there's more stuff than that, right?
There's a lot of stuff.
What stuff? Tell me about it.
We have vintage toys and games, in 1980s toys and games. We have furniture. We have, Renaissance. We have farmhouse, shabby chic. We have antiques. We have Victorian, French country, Art Deco. Lots of different varieties of furniture.
Juliet, are you old enough to understand what she just said? No, I mean that's some great stuff, and I kind of picking on Juliet because she's part of the younger generation, and we've got a lot of people in the younger generation that have spendable income, and but they have no idea about antiques. I mean, antiques are part of history. They're part of culture.
Right.
They make some really great conversation pieces within our home. The man cave can get some of those great toys and stuff that your husband have. But women like a lot of the stuff there. You got wall hanging stuff. You got stuff that goes on tables. Like plates and all that sort of stuff. Wow, you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We also have vinyl records, so that...
No, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's not it. Is that antique? Are vinyl records considered antique?
We have a lot of vintage items as well.
Oh, be still my heart. So, you got some good vinyl records there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah?
For good prices,
For
too.
good prices. What else you got there? For a younger person, Juliet, what do you think are some of the highlights of the store?
I love the clothes there. I always go towards the clothes. We have a lot of vintage clothes and all the games and toys.
Yeah.
They're really an eye catcher.
And you're open an hour a week so that, I got to get in and get out, right? No, what are your store hours?
We're 7 days a week.
7 days a week. That makes it difficult.
Yeah, 11 in the morning to 7 p.m.
So I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn. And you're there later in the day so I can, like if I want to stop by after work or something like that. Or 7 days, I can come Saturday, Sunday after, whatever I do Sunday morning. And that's just amazing.
Thank you.
Now, before we went on camera, what brought you to the antique field?
I used to be a vendor for many years, me and my husband and my mother-in-law, and just always dreamt of having my own store of vendors.
So you took the big step, you made the adventure come true for yourself, and you're here in the tower. Where are you located again?
We're at 1040 North Fulton.
1040 North Fulton?
Yes.
Awesome. And how can we find you, say, on the internet?
We have a web page as well, and it's
Be still, my antiques on the internet. I mean, that's kind of oxymoronic, isn't it? Okay, so what's your web page?
It's vintagemeantiques.com.
Okay, and we got Facebook. I mean, we got
do.
younger people, right? Facebook. What do we got?
We have Facebook, Instagram, OfferUp.
What's the Facebook
Our
page?
Facebook is Vintage Me Antiques and Collectibles Fresno, and
Yeah.
then our Instagram is Vintage Me LLC.
Cool. That's great. You like what you do?
I love what I do.
You do?
It's not work to me. It's a hobby.
Oh, that's always disappointing to find people that really enjoy. And you enjoy working there?
I love it.
You like going through all the stuff, I bet, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's always interesting because the inventory changes, and because we're dealing with antiques, you never know what's coming in through the door. Okay, what is the most interesting antique, maybe, that you can think of that currently sits either with one of your vendors or with your husband in the store right now?
There's a favorite piece of mine. It's the bust of Christ, and it's a painting. It's an original painting from Argentina.
Really?
Yes, and it represents what we promote here.
Uh-huh.
And we love the painting. I hate to see it leave, to be honest.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. How old is it?
I want to say, gosh, honestly, I want to say in the 90s.
In the 90s? All right. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice piece for someone that has that spiritual connection.
Yes.
And would like to have something like that. Like to have something like that in their house. Mm-hmm. Great.
We have a lot of unique, eclectic pieces.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we're excited to announce a lot of new venues and a lot of new events that we're coming
Yeah,
up
okay,
with.
stop right there. We have an event. We talked about it. And it's not an antique event. Well, it's an antique event, but the event itself is not antique. What do we got coming up?
We have a vintage expo this Saturday, and it's going to be held from 10 to 5. We have at least 26 plus vendors that's going to be out there with us to join us and share their,
And is this going to be at your location?
at our location in our big parking lot.
And then
outside.
out in the parking lot, out in the, you're awful brave. I mean, you don't know what's. We've had a drought for so long. The rain is wonderful, but not next Saturday.
Right.
That'd be a bad thing. But you can have the event anyway, and
Rain or shine.
rain or shine. And rumor has it, you're going to do it again next month.
Every month.
Every month.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That makes it like an ongoing thing, right?
Yes.
And the thing about having something like that every month is I got to come back every month so I can see all the great stuff. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's kind of exciting.
It is.
Something that people like to do. At least some of us old folks. How about you young folks? You like to do that too?
Yeah, it's something you want to see.
Yeah?
There's new
Now you
stuff
bringing
on.
your young friends there to look in the
Yes,
store, right? You're doing that?
definitely.
Are you going to stay there and work there until she becomes... No, we're not going to go there. If you're into antiques, you're not too far from the tower, say, as far south as Bakerfield, as north as far as, say, like Sacramento. In that close area there, you might want to show up. We're going to have, like she said, a monthly Saturday event outside. Again, the date is
March 2nd.
March 2nd, which is a couple days from now. But if you can't make that, you may want to come in and take a look. She's got 29 vendors.
23 plus
Or 23
vendors.
plus vendors, which means that you've got a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of turnover with the items that are there. Which the darn thing about antique shops, they always got great stuff, and it's always changing. And if you're not there on a regular basis, you can miss some really good stuff. So show up, be there, enjoy it. Sandra, thanks for being with us today.
Sharon, thank you.
Sharon,
It's okay.
I'm an antique. All right, George, thanks for being with us. Okay, and I'll see you when we come back.
Thank you.